If there are some questions, there's a gentleman there, obviously. I think I can't really see you very well, so if I call you a gentleman and you're a lady, please forgive me. You're just heads. That person there.
I'm Dennett, pretending to be a lady.
Yes, okay. And then the gentleman there.
Rupert, you twice used the word dishonest in your characterization of first Dawkins on selfish genes, and then me on computers and brains. I have to say, I think you're the one that's being dishonest. Those were both caricatures. You know that Richard Dawkins went way out of his way again and again to show you how to cash out the metaphor of selfishness and show what it means predictively and explanatorily in evolutionary biology. And that explanatory matrix has been confirmed and extended in hundreds of experiments. You can't understand transposons, you can't understand a great deal of what goes on with genomic imprinting if you don't have that picture, which he brilliantly called picture of selfishness at the gene level. That's one caricature of yours. Then you impose dualism on him, and you impose dualism on me. And that, again, it's a willful caricature. The whole point of my work on minds as software running on brains as computers has been, just as Colin says, to move away from the simple view of a computer like your laptop. No, the brain isn't like your laptop much at all. But it is still, as he says, it's still a computer. And even to the point where we can profitably and predictably think about the downloading of new tricks, new cognitive talents to the brain as much the way we download apps to our iPhones and our computers. Now, your caricatures are very funny, but that's all they are, and that's not the way to deal with serious views.
All right. Well, I hope I can reply to that. First of all, I do think the selfish gene is an exceedingly misleading metaphor. I think that attributing selfishness to genes, he admits it's a metaphor, of course. In the small print of the selfish gene, he says, of course, this is just a metaphor. But I think that Dawkins's metaphors, instead of enlightening research on genes, I mean, he's done very little research on transposons, or actually rather little research at all for many years. I don't think that they're particularly helpful. I think modern research on genes, which shows they're far more complex in networks of interaction, there's epigenetic modifications, it all looks hopelessly old-fashioned now. And I think they're metaphors which have passed their sell-by date. I don't think they've been a very important part of research in actual molecular biology of genes. I think they've had a huge popular effect. His book, The Selfish Gene, has sold vast numbers of copies to people who are not engaged in scientific research. It's had a big social effect. I dispute that it's a key player in the actual workings of biology. And insofar as computer metaphors rely on software and apps, I think they are intrinsically dualistic. I don't think it's a caricature to say they're dualistic. They are. Programs, software, hardware is a kind of dualism. And I think that these app metaphors and computer metaphors do raise a whole question of, they have an implicit dualism, even an explicit dualism, which is not pure mechanism. I don't think they're deliberately dishonest in many cases. I think I'm sorry to say it, Dan, I think it's a confusion of thinking that underlies them. And you'll obviously totally disagree and say I'm caricaturing your view, but I don't think I am.
Do we have that debate would run and run, I know. There's a gentleman there in the